How's it hanging? Welcome to another episode of What I Watched This Month, May edition. Christ, can this year slow down? Am I right? I started this month by finally watching The Handmaid, the Park Chan-wook film. I've been told to watch this maybe more than any other movie out there, and yeah, I loved it. For how long this is, it sure does zoom by and move at a pace that at some points felt uncomfortably fast, because at least in my opinion, there's a lot to dissect within this film, and there's like a million things happening in a lot of these scenes, and near the middle, where a lot of plot points start moving in directions you didn't expect, oh man, is it overwhelming. Which is exactly how I felt watching Oldboy. I started getting sort of lost in everything happening, and I almost gave up and admitted I was just too stupid. But wow, does this man know how to end a movie. He ties everything together so smoothly. It was both very surprising and very satisfying. I can't believe I've danced around spoilers this entire time because it really is a go in knowing nothing kind of flick. So all I'll say is check it out if you haven't already, and I seriously recommend not watching it with your parents. Then I watched Mainstream. Now I already talked about this in that video, but to summarize my thoughts, I think this is interesting and I'm not upset that it exists. I would happily rewatch it any day just for how entertaining it is, but I do not think it brings anything substantial to the table as far as influencer culture goes. But let's try and get Andrew Garfield an Oscar. Then I watched Ocean's 11 in a theater on 35mm. As you can tell, it was a pretty amazing experience already. And aside from the actual experience, I love this movie. It's fun, it's funny, it's snappy, it's just cool. Every actor seems to know exactly what they needed to bring to the table. The third act is very famously one of the best of all time, obviously. Maybe this is a little nitpicky, but I could do without the Julia Roberts subplot. Doesn't ruin the movie by any means, and I get why it's in there, but like they could really keep it to a minimum for the sake of holding on to the momentum. But hey, it's pretty much perfect. Then I watched The Devil Wears Prada. This was very unexpected, but this has almost the exact same score as Ocean's 11, and while we're on the topic, it is just as chaotic and snappy. It honestly feels like Uncut Gems before Uncut Gems in a really weird way. But yeah, I loved this as a kid, and I still think it's a really good time. There really is not a single good person in the entire movie. Maybe that'd make for an interesting video. I don't know. To keep it brief though, this is to Meryl Streep what School of Rock was to Jack Black. It's a career-defining role. And I watched Election. Don't really know what to add at this point. I think this is the third time I've watched it in the last year. I love it, and I think this is a perfectly paced comedy with some hilarious characters. Then I watched Pedro Almodovar's The Skin I Live In, and yeah, this is certainly an interesting one. I think this is a very cool concept that is executed pretty well. I'm just a little confused on how I feel about it all. Sure, it's got great moments of suspense. Sure, the production design is unsurprisingly gorgeous, but some of it feels kind of misogynistic or just weird. I don't want to spoil the film, but it kind of wants you to root for a character who, in a lot of ways, we shouldn't root for. I don't know. I also think some of the themes of gender and sexuality went way over my head here. There's a lot to dissect in that department when it comes to a film like this, made by a filmmaker like Almodovar, and I think I'm just gonna sit back and listen to people who actually know what they're talking about when it comes to topics like that. Because quite frankly, like I said, I think a lot of this went over my head, but as a thriller, sure, yeah, it's interesting. Then I watched The Day Trippers. I'm really shocked I don't hear about this movie more often because, man, is it a fun watch. It's very light on its feet, but the chemistry between the actors feels very authentic, which it used to its advantage for some really hilarious setups here and there. I love a family road trip movie that knows how to actually write for everyone in the car, because as a result, you get a much richer experience and one that actually, I don't know, felt like a family road trip. If you like Wes Anderson and you like Noah Baumbach, I think you'd probably like this. Then I watched The Mighty Ducks. This was my first time watching The Mighty Ducks, but at the same time, I knew exactly what this would feel like before I pressed play. Cheesy 80s family sports flick that takes place in Minnesota. Can it get any more predictable? But that said, I liked it. I think this is a fun and lighthearted watch, and when you stop taking it seriously, you end up having a decent time. Then I watched Freaky Friday, and boy did some of this age like milk. I've been accidentally revisiting a lot of childhood favorites recently, maybe because they're just comfortable watches, and it's been interesting seeing which hold up as great films and which just don't. And Freaky Friday is still a lot of fun, and it's got some really funny scenes that still make me giggle, but I think it lacks the charm that a lot of these nostalgia trips originally had. Like School of Rock, Devil Wears Prada, and Shrek all proved themselves to still hold up as really great watches, and I can't exactly say the same for Freaky Friday. It sets out to be a fun movie about this concept, but nothing more than that. The mother-daughter relationship here is like so one-noted. I mean, what am I doing seriously critiquing Freaky Friday? It's fine. Then I watched The Woman in the Window, And oh man, I thought this movie was dog shit. I only watched it because I saw a teaser on Twitter and thought, the editing looks kind of snappy, it is an original concept, and it looks mildly interesting. But boy was this a snooze fest. I cannot tell you the last time I watched a movie this dull and voiceless. Amy Adams is giving it her absolute all, and she's not going anywhere. Nobody gets anywhere, for the record. These performances feel like they were getting a job done, not actually putting their hearts into it. And I don't blame them, because the movie kind of sucks. The VFX and the set design are laughably mediocre. One of these scenes looks like something out of film school. I just could not have been more disappointed. It tries to be this Hitchcockian Fincher thing, and it lacks any sort of urgency or style or world to build with it, which are all things that those directors mastered. And as a result, you just get a complete bore fest. Don't waste your time with this. Then I watched Perfect Blue, and whoa, this sure does hit a lot harder a second time when you know what you're getting into and can actually follow the story a bit better. And yeah, I love this movie. I think a lot of those moments of confusion are completely intentional and meticulously executed. I think the themes of trauma, sexual assault, identity, and body image are all fully formed in its short runtime. But most importantly, I think its themes of being in the public eye are beautifully told, and coincidentally, they do everything I wish mainstream did, and this was way before the idea of internet celebrity was a thing. The concept of having your own identity reshaped by strangers and how easily controllable it is, especially nowadays, it's terrifying. And I think the ways Perfect Blue goes about telling that are haunting in all the right ways. In short, it truly is one of the best animated films of all time. If you haven't seen it, please watch it, and if you have seen it, please watch it again. Then I watched Lost Highway for the first time. I love how for as much as I've already seen by David Lynch and for as much as I already know about him, his films are never not weird to watch. They're just so consistently strange and interesting even when you know what you're getting into. And that's especially the case with this one. As many have written, Lost Highway is way more focused on form than it is storytelling, and I think that's very cool and very effective. Lynch, more than a lot of filmmakers, knows what he's doing when it comes to that and crafts some scenes that left me absolutely paralyzed. For as loose as this is, similar to Perfect Blue, there's a whole lot of precision to how Lynch goes about putting this experience together. It's not for everyone, and it isn't something I see myself revisiting often, but I do think it's a beast of a movie. Then I watched California Split. My first Altman film was McCabe and Mrs. Miller, but that was a while ago, and I admittedly wasn't paying a lot of attention, so in a way, this is my first Robert Altman film. And guess what? I loved it. I think there are some seriously hilarious scenes in here, thanks to the chemistry between Elliot Gould and George Segal, and I love a movie about losers who keep winning and only fall deeper into those rabbit holes, and this is exactly that. In all honesty, it's just a fun movie about some guys. What's not to love? Then I watched Mortal Kombat. I mean, I've never played the Mortal Kombat games, and I really had no interest in seeing this. I only watched it because I got outvoted on movie night, but sheesh, not my thing, I guess. I do think the action in this is fun sometimes, and the costume design is pretty impressive, but other than that, there really isn't much to like at all. The story is really boring, and I couldn't care less about the characters whose names I do not remember at all. It's way too long, it's very forgettable, and it just felt dumb. Which I know is the point. That's what a movie like this should be. It'd be weird if it tried to take itself seriously, but it was just boring to me. I don't know, I just wanted it to be over. Honestly, I'm probably just upset that I got outvoted. Then I finished the month with a light and easy watch of Saint Maud. For as much as I've heard about this, nothing could prepare me for just how paralyzing that final shot was. It truly was haunting in every single way, and the rest of the movie is okay. From a technical standpoint, it rules. The cinematography is super interesting, and the sound design is exactly what it should be, using the tiniest of sounds to draw you in, but the story didn't pull me in as much as I wanted it to, probably because for as much time as we spent with Maud, I never fully connected to her character. I think she's a little one-noted, which I get is the point, but I just saw her more as this idea than as an actual person, which definitely sucks, but maybe it'll hit more on a rewatch because I probably will watch this again at some point in my life. And hey, that's what I watched this month. Thanks for watching this video. Check out all these films and form your own opinion. And before you head out, I'm a pretty simple guy. I like my breakfast with a microphone, a laptop, and a bowl of Magic Spoon cereal. Recently, I've been trying to eat a little bit healthier, and that starts with the first meal of the day, breakfast. But I still wanted it to taste good, and thankfully, Magic Spoon is both healthy and it tastes delicious. They have 0 grams of sugar, 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. Also, only 140 calories. They sent me a bunch of boxes. We got cocoa, peanut butter, frosted, and fruity, which is my personal favorite. Just like the cereal, I'm not gonna sugarcoat this for you. It tastes amazing. Like the fruity one, I'm not kidding. It tastes exactly like Fruit Loops. It's keto friendly, gluten free, grain free, soy free, low carb, and GMO free. Man.
I've been streaming on Twitch recently and people have been like, Karsten, you look great. And you know what? It's because I've been eating this cereal.
And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund you your money, no questions asked.
Click the link below to get your own variety pack and try it today. And make sure to use my code Karsten at the checkout to get $5 off, or go to magicspoon.com/Karsten.